My name is Eddie Carter. I'm 42 years old, and for the last decade, I've taught 8th grade English at Riverside Oaks Middle School, a quiet, aging public school on the outskirts of Northwest Chicago. Every morning used to start the exact same way. I'd roll out of bed before the sun rose, rub the sleep out of my eyes, and head to the kitchen where the smell of early morning coffee mixed with the sound of my kids arguing about which cartoon character was stronger. I'd pack 2 tiny lunchboxes, one blue, one pink, kiss my wife on her forehead while she scrolled through her phone, then grab my keys and head out. Routine, predictable, not always exciting, not always easy, but it was my life. My father has cancer, stage 4. Some nights I go over to his apartment after school, help him shower, help him dress, help him forget for just a few minutes that his own body is slowly killing him. Then I drive home through quiet neighborhoods with the radio off because I'm too tired to hear anyone talk. But still, it was normal, a rhythm I understood. Or at least, that's what I thought. Everything changed because of one student, Leon Miller. Leon wasn't the kind of student most teachers notice immediately. He didn't interrupt, didn't talk back, didn't show off. He sat in the 3rd row, near the window, close enough to the morning light that it always cast a thin, pale glow over his notebook. He was small for 13, skinny shoulders, messy dark hair that fell over his eyes. He wore the same 2 hoodies every week, one gray, one dark blue. Both stretched at the sleeves like he pulled on them when anxious. There's a certain silence some kids have, not the calm, focused kind, the heavy kind, the kind that feels like a blanket someone threw over them to muffle the world. That was Leon. He turned in assignments but half finished. He answered questions, but softly, like he was afraid of being heard. Sometimes he lingered after class, standing next to his desk with his notebook held tight to his chest, as if debating whether to stay or leave. I'd ask, "Everything okay, Leon?" He always gave the same answer. "Yeah, Mr. Carter, I'm good." But he wasn't, and I didn't see how deep the cracks went. Not yet. Every class has a Roger. Roger Whitman was tall for his age, athletic, confident in that effortless way kids are when they've never truly been hurt. His father was a lawyer. His mother organized charity galas. He showed up to school with brand new sneakers every month and a smirk that looked permanently carved onto his face. Roger wasn't the kind of bully that threw punches. He was smarter, crueler. He picked targets who wouldn't fight back, and he picked Leon almost instantly. A comment in the hallway, a shove when teachers looked away, taking his pencils, calling him Ghost Boy because he was so quiet. Kids laughed. That's all Roger needed, an audience. One day after lunch, Leon came into my class with his hair wet, hoodie damp. I asked him what happened. He said he slipped. Later, I learned Roger had pushed his head under a running sink in the bathroom. Middle school can be hell in 1,000 small ways. Leon lived in that hell daily, and I didn't know the worst of it, not until the bathroom incident. It happened on a Tuesday. Leon was present for morning attendance, but missing from my last period. I assumed he'd gone home sick. Kids disappear all the time. It's rarely dramatic. But that night, just past 9 p.m., the janitor unlocked the far boys' bathroom, the one near the gym, and heard faint knocking. Inside the last stall, Leon was curled on the toilet seat, hoodie pulled to his chin, eyes red from crying. Someone, later confirmed to be Roger, had jammed the lock from the outside with a piece of bent metal, then taped a bright yellow sign to the door. Out of order. No one checked. No one questioned. Who looks twice at an out-of-order bathroom stall? He'd been in there for hours. He hadn't screamed because he knew no one would hear. He ate half his sandwich to calm the hunger, then saved the other half in case he was stuck all night. When the janitor opened the door, Leon didn't even move at first. He just looked up, eyes tired and swollen, like a kid who had run out of ways to ask the world to be kind. The next morning, he came into my class looking hollow, his shoulders hunched, his eyes glued to the floor. Roger smirked at him from across the room. That's when I felt something tight twist inside my chest, a mix of anger and shame. I should have seen it, but I didn't, and I will never forgive myself for that. A few weeks later, I met Leon's parents during parent-teacher conferences. They arrived late, very late. Jennifer Miller walked in first, thin, tired, smelling strongly of cheap vodka masked with gum. Her hair was messy, her makeup smudged. She smiled too much, like she was trying to convince both of us she was okay. Joe Miller followed, tall, broad, face red like he'd been arguing in the car. Jaw clenched so hard, a vein twitched under it. I told them Leon was quiet, capable, but struggling emotionally and academically. Joe stared at his hands and muttered, "He needs to toughen up." Jennifer gave a strained, brittle laugh. "He's always been dramatic," she said. "Cries too much. Sensitive boy." I felt a cold wave in my stomach. Not the kind you get from fear, the kind you get from recognition. Suddenly, Leon's silence made more sense than I wanted it to. Billy left first. Leon pretended not to care. Said they'd text, call, keep in touch. But within a week, I found him eating alone, staring at the empty chair next to him, like waiting for a ghost. Tommy was all he had left. They were inseparable, always laughing, always showing me doodles in their notebooks, or arguing about video games. Then came the accident. They were biking home together when a car took a turn too fast. Witnesses said Tommy didn't even scream. It happened that quickly. Leon did scream though, over and over, until his throat burned. He stayed by Tommy's side until the ambulance arrived. The next day, Leon was in class. He didn't cry. He didn't speak. He just stared at the corner of his desk as if something were playing there that only he could see. It broke something in me to watch, and I didn't know yet that the worst was still ahead. A police officer drove Leon home that evening. They didn't want him walking alone. The front door was unlocked. Inside, the TV was on, blaring a game show laugh track into the empty room. A glass had fallen on the floor. The kitchen light flickered. And then they saw her, Jennifer Miller, face down, blood pooling beneath her head, 24 stab wounds. Joe stood nearby, hands shaking, holding the knife, numb, dazed, like he wasn't in his body anymore. The officer drew his weapon, shouted commands, tried to calm him down. Joe panicked. They struggled. The knife slipped. The blade went into the officer's chest. Backup arrived minutes later. Too late. Jennifer was dead. The officer was dying. Joe was arrested, sobbing, insisting he didn't mean to hurt anyone. And Leon. Leon saw everything. No mother, no father, no Billy, no Tommy. Just a boy orbiting tragedy, as if pain were gravity and he was being pulled deeper each time. Leon was moved to an aunt's house. He rarely spoke. He drew sometimes, scribbles of empty rooms, shadows, windows without people. I offered him extra help after school. He stayed almost every day, not to learn English, just to sit somewhere quiet. Sometimes he'd write in his notebook. Sometimes he'd stare at his pencil for minutes without moving. I'd say gently, "Leon, if you want to talk, I'm here." He'd nod, but the words never came. Roger returned to bullying eventually. Trauma doesn't scare the cruel for long. He told Leon he was cursed, that everyone who got close to him died, that maybe his teacher would be next. Leon didn't react, didn't argue. He just lowered his eyes like he believed it. I snapped. I dragged Roger to the principal's office, listed every incident, every whisper, every threat. The school launched an investigation. Roger was expelled. That afternoon, Leon smiled for the first time in months. A tiny, fragile, heartbreaking smile. I let myself believe the lie teachers tell themselves. Maybe I saved him. Maybe it's getting better. I wanted it to be true more than anything. A month passed. Leon seemed lighter. He finished homework, answered questions sometimes, sat closer to the other kids. I let myself hope. Then came the morning, the perfect morning. Sunlight through the kitchen window, pancakes on the stove, my kids laughing, my wife humming a song she hadn't sung in years. I left home feeling like, for once, nothing bad was waiting around the corner. When I reached school, all my students were already standing outside my classroom door. All of them, silent, pale, not joking, not pushing, not laughing, just frozen. One girl whispered, "Mr. Carter, the door's locked. We're scared to open it." I don't know why, but in that moment, my hands started shaking before I even reached for my keys. Something inside me already knew. I unlocked the door. The moment it opened, the world became quiet. Not silent, quiet, like sound itself retreated. Leon was in the center of the classroom, hanging, a rope tied to the ceiling beam, feet dangling inches above the floor, his face calm, his eyes open. Beneath him, on the floor, lay his notebook, the same one he carried everywhere. The desks were arranged neatly, chairs tucked in, as if he didn't want anyone to clean up after him. Kids behind me gasped, cried, clung to each other, but I didn't hear most of it. Everything sounded muffled, distant, underwater. I ran to him, lifted him, shouted his name, but I knew. I knew the moment my hands touched him that I was too late. Paramedics arrived, teachers cried, police sealed off the classroom, and later that day, they let me read the notebook. It held everything. The bathroom stall, Billy leaving, Tommy dying, his parents fighting, the murder, the officer bleeding on the carpet, Roger's bullying, the loneliness, the nightmares. It wasn't a diary. It was a map of a boy trying to survive in a world that gave him no safe place to stand. On the last page, he wrote, "I don't want to wait for the next bad thing. I don't want to watch anyone else die because of me. I'm tired, Mr. Carter. Please don't be mad." That was the last sentence. And that's how I know all this, officer. I read every page, every word. The officer nodded slowly and said, "Thank you for your statement, Mr. Carter. You may go." I stood up, walked out of the gray interview room, past the front desk, into sunlight that felt wrong on my skin. Cars passed, people laughed, life continued. But since that day, Leon hasn't left my mind, not once.